Good morning to all of you, honorable dignitaries and my dear friends. My topic for presentation is Literature Infuses Indomitable Spirit to Face the Challenges of Pandemic COVID-19. Pandemic disease play prominent part perennially in literature. Literature is the mirror of society. The disastrous mortal disease plague known as the Black Death spread across Europe in the years 1346 to 1353 due to black rats. Plague spread by contaminated droplets from the cough of patients. On March 24, 1882, Dr. Robert Koch announced the discovery of Mycobacterium tuberculosis, the bacteria that causes TB during 19th century. TB killed 1 out of every 7 people. Presently, we are living with COVID-19. The general objective of this research paper is to strive, to seek, to find the significant role of some of the chords of literature, which can enable sincere, devoted, dedicated, dutiful, disciplined, aspiring, agile, enthusiastic persons to be happy even at the pandemic period of tension, worry, fear, confusion, depression, disappointment, and isolation, barriers bearing lockdown, and even after being unlocked. It is to enable persons to be connected for one and sublime India. It will infuse indomitable spirit among students, peer group, colleagues, and friends. The spirit of victorious teaching learning process, sustainable thinking, optimistic attitude, hardworking, spirit oriented to face the challenges of the dark, deserving dragon. It will enable such persons to know that light is supreme power, the divine intelligence will diminish the dark and prove astoma sadgamaya, tamsoma jyotirgamaya, mrityoma amritam gamaya. Giovanni Boccaccio, the Italian writer, poet, and correspondent of Petrarch and one of the important humanists, returned to Florence in early 1341, avoiding the plague of 1340 in the city. In his book, The Decameron, he told the tales of 10 people of Florence who escaped from Black Death, and now we have 7 in our country working class people escaping from metro cities to the remote villages to meet their parents, villagers, peasants, to start working like agrarian in their fields. Giovanni Boccaccio was a contemporary witness to the effects of the Black Death pandemic. The Yersinia pest bacterial pandemic in Europe between the years 1346 to 1353, causing 75 million to 200 million deaths across the continent alone. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky incorporated tuberculosis into the plot of his 19th century novel Crime and Punishment as a subtle literary tool. Consumption in the literature of Dostoevsky's time is a disease caused by in bacteria Mycobacterium tuberculosis. It is an airborne disease that can be transmitted from human to human by sneezing, coughing, or even speaking. If left untreated, a TB infection can be fatal. Dear dignitaries, it was blended very well in his book, Crime and Punishment. Claustrophobia and despair are underlying tones all through the novel. Overcrowding is often a major factor in facilitating spread of disease. Dirty living, dirty quarters, houses, societies, villages, metros, and countries are most affected. They are prime breeding grounds for bacteria. Poverty often rules out the possibilities of quality health care. Disease does not discriminate when it finds an opportune time. It will, in fact, regardless of social status or wealth. Sri Narendra Modi, Honorable Prime Minister of India, anticipated the diseases and envisioned with his divine power Swachh Bharat Abhiyan to protect poor people, peasants, and poverty-stricken persons to be free from spread of bacterial diseases. His vision of enabling poor to get treatment by Ayushman Bharat, the health insurance scheme with grand vision by providing the subscribers a medical expense cover of up to rupees 5 lakhs is exemplary. The novelist Charles Dickens wrote of TB in 1838 as a dread disease which medicine never cured and which wealth never warded off. He wrote about it in his novel Dombey and Son. Presently, COVID 19 is an acute infectious respiratory disease caused by a newly discovered coronavirus, COVID 19, which affects different people in different ways. Most of infected people will develop mild to moderate illness and recover without hospitalization. Most common symptoms are fear, dry cough, tiredness, and less common symptoms are aches and pains, sore throat, diarrhea, conjunctivitis, headache, loss or taste of smell, rash on skin, discoloration of fingers, toes, black feet, difficulty in breathing, or shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure, loss of speech. It also spreads primarily through droplets of saliva or discharge from the nose when an infected person cough or sneeze. At this time, there is no specific vaccine or treatment for COVID 19. One of the most important and literary figure, John Milton, enabled us to become strong with indomitable spirit even at the time of distress. He wrote in his book Paradise Lost, which was read, known, understood, analyzed, and evaluated by Father of Nation Mahatma Gandhi too. He gave the slogan of Karo Ya Maro. John Milton says, fallen cherubs, to be weak is miserable, doing or suffering. COVID 19 is torturing, troubling, putting us in distress. Though people are dying, but we must face it with courage. He added, what though the field be lost, all is not lost, the unconquerable will, and the courage never to submit or yield. We must have the spirit of overcoming this situation. All the fallen angels were in burning lake, in hell, plunged by God. He wrote, awake, arise, or be forever fallen. Almost the same slogan was sung by Swami Vivekananda in 19th century. In our motherland. Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. India has received now the new possessor who expressed powerfully and striving to protect from COVID 19 the nation with his innovative technique of Tali, lighting lamps, collective consciousness, diverse actions on drastic situation and nation from the pandemic. But few foul followers with pirated, corrupt comments are igniting the satanic sources to spread the COVID 19. Alexander Pope wrote in his book An Essay on Criticism in 1709 that a little learning is a dangerous thing. William Wordsworth's poetry inculcate and imbibe human values among us. In his poem to Milton, Wordsworth pleads for Milton to rather messianically Oh, raise us up, return to us again, and give us manners, virtue, freedom, power. William Wordsworth invokes Milton's all, and he says, we are selfish men. देख तेरे इंसान की हालत क्या हो गई भगवान, कितना बदल गया इंसान. William Wordsworth invokes the soul of John Milton and asks Milton, Milton, thou shouldst be living at this hour, England hath need of thee. Thy soul was like a star and dwelt apart. Thou had a voice whose sound was like the sea, pure as the necked heaven's majestic free. William Wordsworth's teaching, love and worship of nature may enable us to overcome the pandemic COVID-19. Today, we are using black pepper, cinnamon, clove, cardamom, turmeric, amlika, tirfala, mint, ashwagandha, giloy, tulsi, given by nature. Thus, he says, nature is a teacher whose wisdom we can learn if we will, and without which human life is in vain and incomplete. Rabindranath Tagore said, Thou hast made me endless, such is thy pleasure. This frail vessel thou emptiest again and again, and fillest it even with fresh life. Even in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we see the same sense. नैनम छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि न च एनं दहति पावकः न च एनं कलेदयन्ति आपो न शोष्यति मारुतः. We are deeply delved into the spirit of materialism. In the sonnet, The World is Too Much with Us, William Wordsworth criticizes the world of the first industrial revolution for being absorbed in materialism and distancing itself from nature. He says, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers, little we see in nature that is ours. Little we see in nature that is ours. In nature and the language of the sense, he says, nature is the anchor of my purest thought, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart and soul, of all moral being. In the poem Intimations of Immortality, Odd, he writes that man should not afraid of the death. मौत तो महबूबा है, आएगी और ले जाएगी. Our birth is but sleep and forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting. But trailing clouds of glory do we come from God who is our home. Heaven lies about us in our infancy. Further, he writes in the same poem about poor farmer peasants, he expressed his feelings. Thanks to the human heart by which we live, thanks to its tenderness, its joys, its fears, to me, the meanest flower that blows can give thoughts that do often lie too deep for tears. The gentle child of Adonis, John Keats, lost his mother at the age of 14 because of TB. His brother Tom also died of TB. John Keats too died of TB in 1821 at the age of 25 years only. Pandemic Spanish flu spread in 20th century. These were the devastating dread diseases, but these diseases gave strength to human being, and humanity fought with courage like today. People proved victory to the man, the newborn, the ever living. John Keats, in his poem Ode on a Grecian Urn, overcomes and accepted solitude, loneliness like today quarantine states. He expressed his thoughts and Fanny Brown and immortalized Fanny Brown. He said that your image neither can be found in temple, in church, or arcade or mosque. What leaf fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals or of both, in temple or the dales of Arcady? What man or gods are these? What struggles to escape? He further said that and imagined as if the songs of marriage are sung, heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter. We know John Keats was suffering from TB. He gave a message to the world that if you are sick, do not infect other people by spitting, coughing, sneezing. urinating in public, or throwing spit and excreta into other houses, as we have witnessed due to the activities of antisocial elements. He said, Thy song nor ever can these trees we bear, bold lover, never, never canst thou kiss. He denied to kiss Fanny Brown because he was conscious that if he did so, she will be infected. And he said, forever warm and still to be enjoyed, forever panting and forever young. In the poem Ode to a Nightingale, John Keats writes, My heart aches and it drowsy numbness pains. It is not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness. The weariness, the fever, and the fret, here where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few shed last grey hair, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow. In the same poem, he says, Away, away, for I will fly to thee on viewless wings of poesy, but here there is no light. Another one of the most important romantic poets, P.B. Shelley, keep on solacing us with stating that I fall upon thorns of life, I bleed, but be sure that if winter comes, can spring be far behind? Alfred Lord Tennyson, through his poem Ulysses, guides and tells strongly that, friends, you must not afraid of this challenge. Face it with strong willpower. He says, We are one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. On the other side, Matthew Arnold tells us that people do not have emotions now. Man has become a machine and love machine, even being very near to the nature, are unable to enjoy the nature. He said to his friend, The sea is calm tonight, the tide is full. The sea of faith was once to add the full and drowned earth sore. But due to COVID 19, the relationship between friends, relatives, family members, and colleagues is full of doubts. If husband goes out for marketing, wife asks to take bath immediately and put clothes in washing machine. We are in such pathetic condition. Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help, nor pain, and we are here as on darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggling flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. W.B. Yeats, in his poem The Second Coming, writes, The falcon cannot hear the falconer, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Here anarchy is loosed upon the world, the ceremony of innocence is drawn. T.S. Eliot, in his poem The Westland, communicates from the perspective of those who have died, buried, and in hell, viewing with regret heavenly springtime like the persons who did not pay heed to the COVID 19, like Tablighi Jamatia leader Muhammad Saad and his followers, spread COVID 19 in India. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and deserve, stirring dull roots with the spring soil. Further, he states that Datta Dayadhvam Damayatta. Here he means that give, sympathize, and control. The present scenario is also talking about the sound. Datta means gave to the poor via chief minister or prime minister relief fund or NGO club of funds, or Dayadham, sympathize with the victims who are suffering and dying, and Damayatta, control the Tablighi like people who are spreading coronavirus in various parts of the nation and China like nations abroad and countries, and ultimately in the poem uh, utters Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. One of the greatest poets of Victorian period, Robert Browning, poems are filled with unbridled optimism. He gives great, grand, and gracious message of glory to face such situations with serene sincerity and sublimity to make one and sublime India. He was optimistic about the existence of God and the notions of a powerful heaven. Robert Browning maintained a strong faith in the conventional religious thinking and or afterlife. In the poem Rabi Be Natura, he celebrates both incarnate life and the life of spirit. He guides us as the bird wings and sings. Let us cry, all good things are ours in the grow old along with me. The best is yet to be the art of life for which the first was made. God is in heaven, all is right with the world. At last, I would like to conclude that challenge is getting the attention of health policy and medical communities who are working night and day to better understanding COVID-19 now have a clear understanding of what this needs to look like. World is discussing and interacting about the efforts and results because of increasing contiguity of humans and animals, some of which are reservoirs of deadly viruses. We cannot reach to the conclusion that the COVID 19 is the last pandemic to attack humanity. The COVID 19 will certainly transform mindset, societies, policies, and economy will finally depend on the interplay of powers, greed, benevolence, innovation, integrated sense of sincere society, social upliftment among human beings. Science, industry, governments, and civil society have to play a prominent part progressively with collective consciousness. Student, teachers, society, science servants, masters, social leaders, NGOs will all have to play sincerely significant role in forthcoming days. Psychologists must serve sincerely. Ultimately, the spirit of collective consciousness, self-dependent, self-reliant, self-sufficiency, self-respect, self-reverence, and self-realization will determine the new world of new lifestyle. Thank you very much to all of you.